This morning, a shattered community comes together to remember a woman killed in front of her granddaughter. Police step up their search for her killer. Ugly clashes at a Pride march in Melbourne, dozens in a heated confrontation with officers. Tax cuts the battleground as Parliament returns. What voters really think about Anthony Albanese's backflip. And Sean Abbott shines as Australia takes an unbeatable lead against the West Indies.
This is 7 News with Jodie Speers.
Good morning. A vigil has been held overnight after the horrific murder of a 70-year-old grandmother near Ipswich. Locals gathered to remember Vilene White, stabbed to death in front of her 6-year-old granddaughter in the car park of a Redbank Plains shopping centre. Police have ramped up the manhunt for her killer, releasing vision of 4 people of interest and calling on the public for their help. Victorian police have condemned the actions of protesters during the annual Midsummer Pride March in Melbourne. A group of around 50 people sparked heated clashes during the event as they surrounded police. Paint bombs were thrown at officers, with some wearing outfits with anti-police messaging. Assault charges have been laid, with more body camera video to be examined. Voters have had their say on the overhaul of Stage 3 tax cuts, a topic set to be the primary battleground when Parliament resumes this week. Let's go live to political reporter Isabel Mullen in Canberra. Good morning, Izzy. Strong support for the PM's new decision.
Yeah, certainly, Jodie. Good morning. According to the latest news poll, most people believe this is a good decision. The proposed changes to Stage 3 redirect relief from high-income earners to middle-income earners. The news poll shows 62% back the change and believe the Prime Minister is doing the right thing. 29% say he should have kept his promise and implemented the cuts without changing them. Labor's primary vote, what you're seeing here, has improved a point to 34%, but the two-party preferred split remains unchanged from the end of last year, 52 to 48 in Labor's favour. The Shadow Cabinet will meet today to formalise its position. Peter Dutton is likely to back the cuts, but he will continue to attack the Prime Minister for not keeping his word after promising not to make changes to the Stage 3 tax cuts at the election. The legislation outlining what those changes will look like will be introduced into Parliament tomorrow. Jodie.
Izzy, thank you. The East Coast has sweltered under a weekend heatwave as northerly winds pushed temperatures beyond national averages. El Niño temperatures are expected to carry on through to today as storms and showers set in. An air mass is leaving heatwave warnings in place for eastern and northern parts of New South Wales, as well as parts of Victoria. Residents across Sydney sweated through the hottest night of summer, with temperatures in some areas not dipping below 25. The remnants of Cyclone Kirrily have moved south as residents continue to deal with flooding. A separate tropical low is lurking around New Caledonia, but now only a 30% chance of developing into a cyclone later this week. It will most likely move into the Coral Sea, avoiding the coastline altogether to head out into the Pacific. To news which Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander viewers may find distressing. There are new tributes to celebrated Indigenous leader Lowitja O'Donoghue, who has died aged 91. The former Australian of the Year passed away in Adelaide, having dedicated her life to the rights, health and well-being of Indigenous Australians.
Lowitja was more than just a little bit intimidating and frightening, exceptionally dedicated, but more than that, was overwhelmingly generous and compassionate.
Dr. O'Donoghue passed away peacefully, surrounded by family. The livestock carrier that's been stuck in Fremantle has now set sail with no destination. After 31 days at sea, the vessel's next stop is yet to be approved. It had been transporting more than 15,000 sheep and cattle to Jordan, ordered to return to Australia due to security concerns. The cattle were unloaded, but thousands of sheep remain on board. The Department of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry is yet to make a decision on whether the animals docked at Fremantle will be re-exported. Houthi rebels have vowed to continue targeting ships in the Red Sea despite a wave of strikes from the US and the UK. US correspondent Tim Lester is in Washington. Good morning, Tim. The militant group says it will respond to the attacks.
Yes, the Houthi rebels are guaranteeing, they say overnight, that they will continue the attacks in the defence of the Palestinian people as they see it. These, of course, are the attacks they've been carrying out on shipping going through the crucial lanes of the Red Sea, particularly commercial shipping. Now, that was one justification used by the Biden administration for the second of its weekend attacks against Iranian militias. The second one aimed at the Houthi rebels. They attacked six particular areas in the north of Yemen, thought to house radar, missiles, other military equipment and underground bunkers. Yet to get an assessment on the extent to which that attack or the first attack along the Iraq-Syrian border for targets there have been a success. They say here in Washington they're still carrying out those assessments, but as well as the Houthis guaranteeing that they will continue their attacks, the US here this morning, the Biden administration, saying it has only begun its strikes against militia. There is much more to come, and if need be, they're ready to respond to the Houthis if the Houthis do go on waging this war in the Red Sea.
Tim Lester in Washington there. Quick check of sport now. A gutsy knock from Sean Abbott guided Australia to victory in the second one-dayer at the SCG. Chasing 259 to win, the West Indies put up a fight but fell 83 runs short.
The day started with so much promise.
The young guns are ready to go.
Victorians Jake Fraser-McGurk and Will Sutherland earning their one-day caps. McGurk opening in the rested Travis Head's place, making his intent loud and clear first ball. 3 later...
Oh, that is right in his wheelhouse! This is why we are so excited about Fraser-McGurk.
The next...
Edged and gone!
Out for 10, WA's Josh Inglis caught for 9 soon after. Cameron Green a steady presence.
Get hold of that one! I see your 6, Jake Fraser-McGurk, and I'm going to raise you.
As wickets continue to tumble, Steve Smith chopping on for 5, Green misjudging a short one on 33.
Easy catch, easy catch.
Australia reeling 5 for 91, needing to be rescued by the fresh faces.
But it's going to fly well over.
Matt Short, Aaron Hardy and Sutherland chipping in valuable runs. On his home ground, Sean Abbott in the mood to create headaches on and off the field.
Oh, that is nasty. The hands were in position.
4 sixes in a career-best 69. Australia's saviour, setting the Windies 259 to win. It was Hardy with the early breakthrough.
Oh no, that's gone high in the air. Mid-off tracking back. And Sean Abbott with the catch.
Abbott piling on more pain.
That's a big net. That is a big one.
The West Indies 3 for 34 as hope began to fade.
Got him!
The Windies put up a fight, but it's time to get excited about the next generation of Australian cricket.
Slots into position, Alzaro Joseph, he hoists it away, but it doesn't go far enough.
Anna Hay, 7 News.
Checking Monday's weather now, partly cloudy in Brisbane, heading for a top of 32 degrees. A possible shower, 33 the top in Sydney. Rain with possible heavy falls in Canberra, heading for 26. Cloudy and 23 in Melbourne. Partly cloudy, 23 as well in Hobart. Adelaide, partly cloudy, heading for 25. Perth, sunny and 28. And Darwin, mostly sunny, heading for 33 degrees. Just ahead on 7 Early News, car companies on notice. Australia will no longer be a dumping ground for fuel-guzzling, inefficient vehicles. And King Charles back out and about after his stay in hospital. Thanks for your company this morning. These are our headlines on 7's Early News. A community vigil has been held in memory of Vilene White, fatally stabbed in front of her granddaughter near Ipswich. police have condemned the actions of protesters involved in ugly clashes at a Melbourne Pride march. Houthi rebels have vowed to keep up their attacks on Red Sea ships. And Sydney has sweltered through one of its hottest nights of the summer, with temperatures in some suburbs not falling below 25. A group of knife-wielding people has terrorised residents at a home in Sydney's southwest. It's alleged 3 men broke into an Austral home before 11 last night, where they threatened a man and a woman. Neither were injured, but the group made away with jewellery before fleeing. The police helicopter and the dog squad were deployed to try to track the group down. Victoria's illicit tobacco trade has seen the state's criminal underworld pocket $1 billion. That windfall comes over a 3-year period and at the expense of 20% of Australia's legal cigarette trade. Operators charge roughly half price per packet on cigarettes, but bring in extra money from markups on overseas stock. A man will today face a court charged with murdering a grandmother and her son in Adelaide's western suburbs. A 43-year-old who was staying only across the road from where Steve and Antoinette Tozer were killed in Rosewater was charged with 2 counts of murder. Steve's son Joshua has revealed his devastation at their brutal deaths, remembering his dad as a loving father. Car makers will soon face fines under new carbon targets, with the federal government preparing to legislate vehicle efficiency standards. The new rules will force manufacturers to send cleaner, more economical cars to Australia, giving drivers access to new lines of vehicles.
Australians drive some of the biggest gas-guzzling and polluting vehicles in the world.
Car companies have been able to treat us as a dumping ground,
sending their best models to countries with vehicle efficiency standards.
Vehicles that are sold here in Australia are 40% less efficient than those vehicles in the European Union.
Australia and Russia are among the only advanced nations not to have new vehicle rules.
It's way beyond time that Australia catches up.
Preparing to introduce an efficiency standard, setting an average level of carbon emissions across a manufacturer's yearly new vehicle sales, and big fines if they fail to meet the target, aiming to reduce annual emissions by 12%.
We want this fuel efficiency standard. We want something ambitious, but we also want something achievable.
It'll only apply to new vehicles, cars, utes and four-wheel drives, both petrol and diesel. Trucks aren't included. Companies can still sell their current models, but will have to increase supply of more fuel-efficient electric and hybrid cars to meet the target.
We want to see more choice for Australians when they go to buy a new car.
Better engines and transmissions, saving about $1,000 a year at the pump. The United States has had new vehicle standards since the 1970s. The government wants similar rules in place here by the beginning of next year, although it knows the road to get there won't be smooth.
We're going to hear that, utes are banned. That is not true. We're going to hear that somehow second-hand vehicles are affected. That is not true.
Assuring motorists it won't drive new vehicle prices higher either. Rob Scott, 7 News.
Houthi rebels have vowed to continue attacks on commercial shipping in the Red Sea despite joint US and UK strikes in Yemen. The US said its latest strike targeted 13 locations, hitting underground weapons storage facilities, missile systems and weapons launchers. The assault came a day after the Pentagon struck Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria in reprisal for the killing of 3 US soldiers in Jordan. The death toll from the devastating forest fires in Chile has climbed to 51. The fires, which are burning around a densely populated area of central Chile, have destroyed more than 1,000 homes. The country's president has declared a state of emergency, warning the death toll could rise further. Hundreds of firefighters have been brought in to tackle the monster blazes. Social media giant Facebook is marking its 20th anniversary. The popular site was launched by founder Mark Zuckerberg in 2004 to connect students at Harvard University in the US. Facebook is now one of the biggest internet platforms in the world, with more than 2 billion daily users. Facebook's parent company Meta reported more than $62 billion in revenue for the last quarter of 2023. King Charles has made his first public appearance since leaving hospital. The monarch attended Sunday service with Queen Camilla at the Sandringham Estate Church. Charles smiled and waved at a small group of well-wishers. It's a week since he was discharged from hospital following treatment on an enlarged prostate. Checking finance now, the Dow Jones is up 134. The Nasdaq gained 267. In London, the FTSE fell 6 points. Germany's DAX gained. On the commodities market, gold is trading at $2,038 an ounce. Oil is $72 a barrel. The Aussie dollar is buying 65 US cents, 96 Japanese yen, and $1.07 New Zealand. Still to come on 7 Early News, 6 homes a day for over 2 decades. The Queensland Government sets out on an ambitious housing plan. And the tax on alcohol hardly pint-sized. The price of a drink soars again. Welcome back. These are our top stories on 7 Early News. A community vigil has been held in memory of Vilene White, fatally stabbed in front of her granddaughter near Ipswich. Police have condemned the actions of protesters involved in ugly clashes at a Melbourne Pride March. Houthi rebels have vowed to keep up their attacks on Red Sea ships, and Sydney has sweltered through one of its hottest nights of the summer, with temperatures in some suburbs not falling below 25. We're being warned the impacts of COVID on the aged care sector are far from finished. 131 deaths were recorded in residential aged care in January, according to the Department of Health. It's the highest monthly death toll since June last year, when the sector was at the mercy of a winter wave. From today, the price of a tipple will become even more expensive. Drinkers are now paying $101.85 in tax per litre of pure alcohol. The increase is part of a tax on beer and spirits, which rises twice a year based on inflation. It's warned it could deliver a blow to Australia's hospitality sector, pushing up the price of the average pint by around 90 cents. A man will face court today over a dramatic standoff in Sydney that allegedly jeopardised the welfare of a woman and baby. The 36-year-old man was brought into custody at the end of the hours-long siege in the inner-city suburb of Surrey Hills after police stormed inside. Among his charges, detaining a person with the intent to gain advantage and contravening an ABO. He was refused bail. The Queensland Government has set its sights on a new housing goal. It's attempting to build 6 new dwellings every day for 22 years. A $1.25 billion funding plan is tasked with delivering more than 53,000 social homes by 2046. The full details of the plan will be formally unveiled by Premier Stephen Miles today, topping up a $6 billion investment in affordable housing. In sport, Australia have won this summer's one-day series against the Windies, knocking over the visitors to seal an 83-run win in Game 2 at the SCG. Sean Abbott followed on from his spectacular knock with the bat, taking 3 for 40, his third an absolute screamer grab from Cam Green.
Oh, it's a stunner to his left. Abbott has another, and it's Cameron Green, the albatross.
The Windies all out for 175. Fresh faces to the rescue for the Aussies after the slow start. The final match of the series is set for tomorrow afternoon. Latrell Mitchell admits the Rabbitohs' pre-season Navy camp took him to places he's never been before, mentally and physically. The players spent 3 gruelling days on the South Coast building endurance and mental resilience in a series of team-building challenges.
To be honest with me, I was a bit rattled at times, and my head went, and then I'd find it again, and that's something I had to find and learn about myself.
The Bunnies' 2024 season kicks off in Vegas against the Sea Eagles on the 3rd of March. Macarthur FC are into the A-League's top 4 after overcoming the Western Sydney Wanderers 4-3. French import Valère Germain starred with a hat-trick, grabbing 2 in the first half as the Wanderers went down to 10 men before forcing a winner across the line in the 93rd minute.
But it's in! It counts! Valère Germain has scored! Lawrence Thomas cannot believe it! Macarthur is celebrating!
The win sees the Bulls in 4th, a point ahead of the Wanderers in 5th. Next on 7 Early News, a closer look at how the weather's shaping up in your part of the country. Taking a look at the weather around the country now, a low with troughs will generate rain, showers and storms over New South Wales, Victoria, eastern SA and eastern Tasmania and draw heat to the east. Troughs and moist winds will trigger showers and storms over the north. High pressure will keep southern WA and southeast Queensland dry. Around the capital's partly cloudy in Brisbane, heading for a top of 32 degrees. A possible shower in Sydney, a top of 33. Rain with possible heavy falls in Canberra, a top of 26. Cloudy, heading for 23 in Melbourne, 23 as well, and partly cloudy in Hobart today. Adelaide, partly cloudy, 25 the top. Sunny and 28 in Perth, and mostly sunny, heading for 33 in Darwin.